Hey everybody, welcome to Matt Men, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Adrian Zare, and of course I'm joined by the beast of all beasts, Rich Stambolian.
Roar.
Roar. What's going on?
The weakest response to that intro. Nothing, man. How you doing? I see you got the energy today. With
I'm pumped.
Are they unearthing parts of your soul in the backyard because you're really an Anunnaki? Is this an archaeological dig that's happening in your house,
dude? You know what we find? We're finding arrowheads all over the yard.
Uh-oh.
I have like 6 arrowheads that we found.
What if you found like an underground temple in your backyard?
I swear to you. I have no proof of this, right? No proof. But I'm 100% convinced that there is an Indian burial ground on my property.
That explains a lot.
100%. Because I got to tell you something. About 25 years ago, my neighbor was doing the whole thing, digging and doing stuff. They found bones in the yard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because he faces the park, right? And this whole thing was, it was Native American ground, so it's interesting. So I'm finding arrowheads and stuff, but I do believe that the spirits are getting released at this point, and they're entering me. I have become one with the earth, and that's why I'm so pumped today to do the show.
Awesome.
We got a very nice compliment from somebody. Somebody emailed me and said the first time they found the show, and they were blown away on how fun wrestling could be as far as like talking about it. They had never heard a wrestling podcast before, and they absolutely fell in love with the show. So I got to get this guy's name. I think it's Raj. I got to find it. But thank you for that. So, guys, this is the show all about professional wrestling. We've been doing this for almost nearly 10 years of doing the show. Generally, a lot of our viewers are podcast form because we've been doing this for 10 years before we started doing this on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please do us the favor. Go to gfknetwork.com or go to anywhere you get your podcasts. Spotify, iTunes. Now it's Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. Search Matt Men. Find us, subscribe to us. It helps us. The more you subscribe, the better the show does. Also here on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And it's a big help for us. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers here on YouTube. You know what really screwed us with this? So the problem, somebody messaged me like, how come your subscribers are so low on YouTube? That's because we were idiots and we were putting everything on the GFQ main feed for solo. So all our shows were on the GFQ feed because we never thought about, monetizing YouTube or doing anything because our model is more radio-based. Right. And in about 2015 or 2016, we split everything and we had to start all over. And we did lose a lot of viewers, but this is our focus now. We're, subscribe. Where do you want to begin today, Rich? Oh, sorry.
Can I touch on that for a second?
Yeah, do it.
It's funny because and again, not to poo-poo on anybody, but I will a little bit. It's funny because sometimes I'll watch the some of the trending wrestling videos, and I'm like, this dude looks like he's coming to you live from like a Splinter Cell bunker in the middle of a desert. Yeah. Then he's covered in shoeboxes, and this video had 100,000 views, and this guy's got like 50,000 subscribers. Yeah. And I'm always like, I think we're a little snazzier than this guy who's covered in spiderweb. Yeah.
What do you got? Listen,
we're
great.
That's my little thought.
We're better than Spiderweb Man. That's fine. I agree. That assessment is 100% correct. So today we have a jam-packed show for you guys. If you listen to the podcast, there's going to be 2 parts that come out to this week's episode. This is the first part. We're going to talk about all of this week's pro wrestling news. We're going to do our mailbag at the end of the show. It's going to be a little shorter. It's going to be about 45 minutes this show. But, however, at noon, if you're watching live, if you're not, this is going to be released tomorrow. If you're listening to this, Rocky Romero, New Japan Pro Wrestling star, professional wrestling superstar, Rocky Romero is going to be on from Talking Shop, from New Japan, to talk about the current state of pro wrestling and everything he's been up to during this crazy time. We're going to talk about, Gallows and Anderson doing a podcast again, how that's going for him. So stay tuned. We got a lot going on today. If I could have incorporated phone calls today, I would have done it. Today's going to be a fun show. Let's talk about what happened on Monday. WWE's getting ready for SummerSlam, obviously. And there's a lot of news surrounding this. Last week, they officially canceled Boston. They were going to do it in Boston still. I think they just held the deposit. They knew they weren't doing it. But they have been searching for a location. What I'm hearing is that there was a big call done within the last couple days between people that would be on that call. I don't want to say who it was, but people,
Mm-hmm.
the guys that you would assume. And Vince is expressing his frustration with not being able to find a venue that would want to host them or a location that would want to host them.
Right.
So the Performance Center might be it. I was always told it was the Performance Center when they originally were saying SummerSlam was going to get canceled because they knew it was going to be very difficult to find a large building to do this in, other than Florida. But now Florida's getting destroyed. Texas is getting destroyed. A lot of these states that were doing very well, Arizona, California, states that were maintaining are not in great shape right now. So they had figured out that maybe they should do an outdoor venue. And I made the joke online. I think Sean Ross Sapp tweeted this, and I made the joke, and I said, you know what would be great if there was ever a time to do a bash at the beach, this is it.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's the plan. Now, that was a joke that I made. I know that they played with this idea. When was it that they did the Hawaii trip? Do you remember that? Years ago.
I think that was like 3 years ago.
I believe Nakamura was there because they were going over to Japan. There was rumbling that they would do a bash at the beach around that time. I got to dig through some of these archives because I have some of these notes in the emails. But they had considered it. So, but man, what a great opportunity. SummerSlam, you could do a bash at the beach type thing, limited. You could limit it tremendously. But the problem is municipalities don't want this to take place because how are they going to regulate people just walking up?
Right. I think, like people, and I've said this to you for months that, apart from statistics and all the stuff that's going on now, there's the variable of what I like to call the gross factor, where it's the people who can't follow the rules that you have to worry about, but you never know who, much like the virus, you never know where it's going to pop up and who it's going to be.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I got 2 words for you as far as a perfect venue to host SummerSlam.
Where?
Citi Field.
Citi Field, man. Love it. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. But now, they're in the same mess. Unfortunately for them, they're in the same mess again because baseball's in play. The conversation of Citi Field has come up thousands of times. The concept of an island is not out the it's not out the as a question or an opportunity for them. That would probably be the best thing to do is go on an island, have a small group of people, have your staff be in the audience, whatever, and that's how you do it. And you shoot it aesthetically. The whole event will be based on the aesthetics and less of the story, because it's going to be very difficult to build great matches. When you're really not putting in 100% effort. But I think this may reinvigorate things if they do something unique here. I've said for a long time, the venue that they're in is really stale.
100%.
They got to figure it out. So there's a lot of options here. I'm going to go down these notes. Sorry, Rich, really quick.
No.
And then we'll touch on it because this is all fresh. So some of the stuff I'm not going to go into because I have not verified it. But there's a lot of moving parts right now with this. I don't know. Listen, we saw what happened here in New York, right? In the Hamptons with the Chainsmokers concert. It was a charity event. It was a $2,500 per person event in the Hamptons for a very limited audience. And it got totally out of hand because people found out that there was an event in the Hamptons and everybody went. And there's how are you going to regulate, 2,000, 3,000 people coming into the event, coming to this outdoor event? You can't. And it was an utter disaster. Now, we don't know if people are going to, utter disaster as far as controlling how many people come in. Now, whether or not people are going to get sick, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this is a bizarre situation for them where nobody wants to really host them. What do you think they're going to end up doing? You think the Performance Center?
Honestly, I think the last thing they want to do is the Performance Center. Obviously, it's an option and it's a viable option, but like you said, like it is looking stale as F, right? And like SummerSlam is supposed to be like a big 4 pay-per-view.
Yeah.
WrestleMania wasn't feeling it. I thought WrestleMania was fun. Wasn't feeling it at the Performance Center.
But was it fun because we did a watch along, or was it fun because you actually enjoyed the event?
A little of both, but mostly I think it was 70-30 doing the watch along. And then the 30% was like, it's still wrestling. It's fun. So like, I do think that they could do the island thing easily. Maybe Vince could talk to Dana White, try to get out there on Fight Island.
Go to Abu Dhabi.
Go somewhere else, like somewhere even more exotic for a day, and host it. Like something cool. But again, WWE doesn't do cool, right? We've kind of established that they do frantic at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts here, but there's a lot of concern because it will start affecting. Listen, their ratings for Monday all-time low again. Terrible, right? Another low number. Drew is unfortunately, and something out of his hands. He's turning into probably in this modern era, probably he's a dud because there's nothing he could really do. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying he's a dud in the sense that he's not performing well and he's not good. I'm saying because of the current climate, his reign is really tainted as a world champion.
Tainted in what regard?
Tainted as far as, the prestige of being world champion. The WWE title. He cannot do what he's supposed to do as the champion because of what's going on. Is a match with Dolph Ziggler going to help him and elevate him as a world champion? No. Randy Orton on paper should. Randy on paper.
I feel like they're going to give that belt to Randy.
You know what? I don't know if that changes anything.
Okay. Do you think Drew's going to have an asterisk next to his title run?
I don't know. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. By the way, this is hysterical. What Jonathan has sent me, and I'll play this in a little bit. This is freaking hysterical. I don't know. I don't. What do you think of Drew's reign? Let me ask you that.
I enjoy it, but it's unfortunate that he is not in front of an audience. He's a dude that has worked so hard to do this in front of a live crowd, and it sucks that he's got to do this shit in front of like NXT developmental basically like every week. It just seems like everybody's going to like a really high-end wrestling school right now, and they're bringing the veterans in to do wrestling shows and cut promos on the crowd. This looks like an old like OVW show, right?
Yeah. Very good quality OVW show. I don't know,
like
man.
It looks awesome.
It's not what I would want this to be for Drew and his title reign. I don't think this is what it would have been. Jonathan,
I agree
email me the images, by the way. He's DMing it. I can't send it to the other computer. Send it to me via email and I'll pull it up.
I got a great idea for another venue.
Sorry.
Aircraft carrier like the Intrepid.
You know what? That's not a crazy concept. Why not? But what's available? What facilities are available for them to use? Mm-hmm. That's the biggest problem. I don't know, because less and less every week I'm enjoying Raw. I'm enjoying SmackDown. And they're in a big. It's starting to reach a point that it's gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse. I don't see them rebounding immediately. Mm-hmm. And this is something to be concerned with, because majority of their revenue, all their revenue at this point, is TV rights. House shows have been losing money for them for about 18 months, a year and a half. I mean, maybe 2 years now. They're not very profitable. If the margins are very thin as far as profit from these house shows. So you're seeing less of these house shows, and that's fine. That's okay. But the problem here is, okay, so if you don't have a house show business, which they don't right now, and and you don't really have a pay-per-view business, because you don't do pay-per-view, you do the network, your network numbers are going down, and your TV rights that's where you're making all your money, but your TV viewership is plummeting. And what are you going to do when NFL shows up and NBA shows up and all the other competition comes back on Mondays and on Fridays? Not good.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot, huh? Specifically WWE. Specifically WWE is in a weak spot, in a weird spot, just because like the corporate machine has really taken off within the last like 10 years, right? Where it's more family programming, a lot of LED shit happening, a lot of this is like the last 5 years has been a hell of a lot of like multimedia crossover stuff, like with the Ronda Rousey thing, and even beyond that. and it seems like they were like on this like weird rocket ship to approaching like what a Disney idea of wrestling would be, right? And now with what's happened in the last 5 months, it seems like that rocket ship is slowly careening back down to earth.
But why is that? This is what I was thinking. If the whole COVID thing didn't happen, where would they be sitting right now? I don't think their ratings would be as low, but it would be low. It would still be reaching all-time lows. That's what we were talking about in February and in early March and in January and in December. It's an all-time low. It's an all-time low. It's the first low of the modern era. It's the first low of this. The first hour was this low. That's the constant conversation here. What I really would like to know, and I'm having a difficult time compiling this, and maybe someone in the audience could help me with this, or know who would know. If you were to compare 1999's ratings, right? 1999's ratings and today's ratings, and you were to compare them with the whole scope of TV, where does it fall? How bad is it really? Because you can't compare the 5s and the 6 million viewers they were getting in 99 to today, because there's so much competition for your eyeballs. DVR is accessible. People watch later in the week. People watch online. They're watching YouTube. If we were to compare and see, okay, what the realistic in today's value, what are the ratings? That's what I would like to know.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like a money type thing. It's like currency was valued at X amount in 1920, and now in 2020 that amount will be worth something else. Like if a show or like one episode of something got like a 9.8, like let's say like a Raw, they would give whatever production that was a full network, right? Because that's like that. Those numbers are like unheard of these days. Like if let's say we had like Matt Men the show on like Monday night at 7:00, and then all of a sudden like you got like a 9.2 on a Nielsen, we would have an entire TV station.
Yeah.
Producing all sorts of content, just because it's like that's completely unheard of. Not only do you have other channels that you're competing with, you're competing with streaming, cable cutters, and people who just don't give a shit anymore. I think that's a big thing, especially like now that we're good.
Last night, you know what I did? I just watched YouTube videos on like true crime. I watched AEW. Really? I watched AEW. I watched half of it last night, and then I got distracted and I lost some time. So I was like, you know what? I'll watch the rest this morning, and I watched true crime videos for the rest of the night.
And YouTube is another channel. Yeah, you're competing with everything. The YouTube thing I think is fascinating too, because if you're between the ages of like 4 and 13, that's all you watch, right?
That is all you watch. My kids don't understand TV. They don't understand why shows don't go back to back. Like if they're watching a show, they'll say like, why can't I watch this? By the way, things have gotten so bad at WWE. I'm their new world champion. It's gotten that bad. That bad. They put the title on me.
It's so good. I like the Steph reaction makes it like super awesome.
The Steph reaction is the best. Hunter's not really sold on me as world champion, but Steph definitely is. Steph is very excited to have me there. That's
so epic.
Yeah, that's my gimmick. That's what Vince wanted. It's not my call. I can't pick the gimmick. Vince did it. Vince goes, we're gonna make you into some sort of Arab. That's the gimmick. I was like, I'm not Arab. It's okay. Who cares? That's what he said.
We'll call you the Freak Sheik.
The Freak Sheik. That's what happened. So I got to tell you, Raw. I think the Randy Orton program is solid for Drew. I think this is the way. This is his first real program, if you think about it, as world champion. His first legitimate challenger that he's facing. Randy Orton has been on one guy that has been elevated tremendously throughout this entire COVID scenario is Randy Orton. He's doing one of the best work he's done in his career.
Let me tell you why. And we've said this for many, many years. Randy Orton is a slow burn. And what better time to have a slow burn guy when everything is super slow in the world, right?
Yeah,
you had that drawn out feud with Edge, and that I know, like, just because of how sparse the programming is, that feud with Edge I feel like has took forever, and then now being like the legend killer again, and at this point like challenging for the title, he's the slow burn champ, you know. So do you think he'll take it from Drew at SummerSlam?
I got to see what they do with the program going into it. I don't know what the right call is. I would have said even a week ago, it's the wrong time to take the title off of Drew, but nothing freaking
Mhm.
matters right now. Nothing matters.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if you're WWE, you're noticing that your numbers are dropping because Drew's champion. I wouldn't hold it against them because there's not much you could do. There's no crowd to work with. Guys are not available to work with. It's a very confusing time for them. So if you do take the title off of him and you put it on Randy and you see the ratings go up, what does that say? I don't know.
That's a tough call. Is Randy known for bringing ratings?
I got to look back. I don't remember at all. I know that he had a couple reigns that were good, but really it's a weird time when he was on top, you know?
Yeah, I think he's one of the greats of all time, but it's also very interesting, like, to see where the show was with regard to like when he had all his title runs. And also, I have a feeling that this feud might set up a Roman return.
Well, yes, that you're absolutely right on that, because right now they're working hard at trying to get him back.
Okay.
They really want Roman back. They feel that they're within the company. They feel that a lot of the ratings issues has to do with the lack of star power, and he would be the man. I know that there was a conversation for SummerSlam for it to be Edge and Orton again in front of an audience. Obviously, that's not happening. There's a lot of rumors as to who goes into WrestleMania as world champion, but none of this, we can no longer predict. Everything that I have said that this company was going to do has shifted because the company has changed their entire process of how they're planning booking and what they're doing. You're going to have, you're planning booking and you're doing this, but what happens when someone gets sick? Out the window. So
exactly.
It's a lot of the conversations that I'm having are, we don't know. We don't know. Things are changing. Listen, Velveteen Dream is a great example of this. Where the hell is he? Everybody's very quiet about this Velveteen Dream issue because the accusations are pretty serious. And I was told, somebody asked, you had said that he was going to get terminated. I did say that, but I did also say I have not been able to confirm this. I'm saying this right now, but I'm not able to confirm that the termination comes that week. I trust the source. I trust that was the conversation. I don't know now when the termination is coming or how it's coming, but I know for a fact he's off the TV, and this is a very serious problem right now for them. Just to kind of touch on that, and everything is kind of up in the air. They're looking at some of these scenarios. They're taking the opportunity of kind of downplaying scenarios because they're in this COVID crisis, and in other scenarios, they're upplaying scenarios because they're in this crisis. So it's a really messy situation with everything. But with that said, you look at Raw. Who are the top guys on Raw right now? Who's the guy that
Randy
you
Orton?
tune in? No, but you, Rich, you specifically, right? When you go, it's Monday afternoon. It's Monday at 7:30, and you go, oh shit, Raw's on. I got to turn it on to see this. They're lacking that.
Honestly, like, for my money, and I hate to admit this, it's nobody. And it's not that I'm not at the point where I'm like, I should watch this out of obligation, but I'm very close to that. And I'm like, let me just turn it on for a little bit. And then at some point I'm like, I get bored. And then I start getting in my own head about like how weird the Performance Center looks. And then I kind of check out, and then next thing I know, it's like 10:30 and I'm like, what's happening right now?
Yeah. And listen, how about SmackDown? Right? Let's talk about SmackDown.
Same thing, except it's blue.
It's yeah. And for whatever reason, I'm so disconnected from it again. How psyched were we when they went live a couple years ago? How psyched were we when AJ Styles was the guy for SmackDown? I tuned in every week. I watched SmackDown, and I've always been a guy that's been kind of on SmackDown. I've always been. It's Raw was always the show, and I watched SmackDown when it was on Thursdays. When they went to Fridays, it became difficult. Then they switched again. I have a very difficult time with SmackDown because there's really not much happening.
SmackDown, actually, I do think is the better show, oddly enough, because it's 2 hours, and plus,
it is a better show.
Their roster, I feel, is more engaging than the Raw roster, because I think I may have just answered our own question where why Raw is so weird, because the Raw roster will always be the Raw style roster. You'll get Seth Rollins, you get Big Show, you get Randy Orton, you get all the big dudes, right? On SmackDown, you have more of an engaging quote unquote wrestling show, right? Yeah. AJ Styles, Matt Riddle, etc. And a lot of that roster could do with a freshening up move to Raw right now, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to see Daniel Bryan versus Drew in a program?
But here's the thing, right? And here's the other problem. I know we're kind of ranting and raving a little bit, but I think this is acceptable at this point. And then we're gonna go really quick into everything from the other day because we have to do the Rocky interview. But
yeah,
you look at the roster, and that's part of the problem too. Is diluted. I don't see a reason for a heavy brand split. I don't. I understand guys should be more heavily on one product compared to the other, but your guys like Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Drew, Seth, Roman, Randy, even let's say Edge, let's say Andrade, the list. I mean, there's a good handful of top guys. Those guys should be on every show. You guys
Absolutely.
aren't doing house shows. You know what? It's one day of taping. Let's get these guys on the TV. Let's make it more interesting. Let's give matches that we haven't seen. I want to see
especially
AJ Styles
for a 3-hour
and Drew
show.
For a 3-hour show.
Yes.
Let's have a title switch on TV. Why are we not seeing title changes? WWE title changes. Do we need Braun Strowman as Universal Champion on SmackDown facing who the hell knows? No, we don't even need 2 titles anymore. Get rid of that second title. The purpose of that Universal title, it's fascinating how they did this. The concept was your champion, they wanted to limit your world champion's defenses, right? The less you give, the more people want to see you. And Brock Lesnar was the man for that. And the experiment really worked for them. The less they were doing with the world title, the better it was. But they needed another title to be defended because Brock was a limited guy. So they created this title concept where one of the belts would be on TV and the other one wouldn't. You don't need that anymore. Get rid of that Universal title. Have the WWE World Championship. Unify them. Do whatever the hell you're going to do. Make it interesting. Then you have one guy defending the title on both brands. That's it. Why can't we see that?
And like 2 separate feuds on both shows.
Yeah. No, you have one program. No, you have one program, right? And then once you're done with that guy, you go to another guy, whoever the guy is. Maybe it stays on Raw more. Maybe it stays on SmackDown more. But you're defending the title everywhere. So if me and you are if you're a Raw guy and I'm the world champion, and we're in a program and I'm on SmackDown, you come to SmackDown. You just have these guys everywhere. You need to freshen it up. And it's so frustrating as a fan at this point to see the lack of just connectability with the audience. That's the biggest problem. They cannot connect. And the other problem here, Rich, NXT has really fallen, in my opinion. How do you feel about it?
Yes, I agree with that. I feel like it was on such a high when it debuted on TV. And I don't know, it's weird. Like the match quality is there and the characters are there, but I think it's just everything else around it. It makes it very, puts people to sleep. It's like a droopy show. It's like a weighty show where like when you watch it, you're kind of like, not that it's bad, but it has like an aura about it where it's like, it's too much. It's like when you overeat pasta, like that's how I see NXT. Or like it kind of gives you that like sleepy feeling, but it's good,
But here's the thing, right? Who do you really? How much as a main product, right? When we were watching it, you had Nakamura, you had all this guy, you had this guy, you had that guy. Now you have Bronson Reed, Drake Atlas, Dexter Lumis. Yeah. Are they going to? Listen, you got Keith Lee, he's phenomenal, but they're not able to do much, and especially with the same aesthetic, it's the same show every week. AEW, on the other hand, looks great because even though they're in the same building, it's a much lively building.
Yes, and I also think they do more in 2 hours with the talent they have, and they have a stacked roster. And I don't mind seeing like 5, like last night you had like an opening 5-on-5 tag, right? you don't really see high quality tag matches like that on WWE programming, even though they do have enough roster to do something like that.
Yeah.
Give everybody like time to shine, let everybody get their stuff in, do a promo at the end. Like exactly what happened yesterday. The Inner Circle lost. You had Jericho and Sammy cut promos, little comedy bit, and then they go away.
Yeah.
It makes you remember what you just saw, and it makes you want more, as opposed to somebody coming out and cutting. A lot of my issues with WWE is the cookie cutter promos, and I think Drew delivers those promos better than most of the roster.
Drew's very good at that.
I think he puts his own inflection on what he's given.
Samoa Joe
as opposed to like the AEW guys who are just kind of like, it's good promo after good promo, and it's shocking to see that on a wrestling show, right? Like Wednesday, MJF promo, Moxley promo, Ricky Starks promo, Taz, like all these dudes are cutting awesome promos all the effing time. And there's no scripts, right?
Yeah. No. I don't know. I should find that out. What did you think of AEW last night? I thought it was, it was fine. It wasn't as good as of a show as then last week. Last week was stellar. This was a fine show to build to another week.
Right.
It was fine. I do have a couple issues with it, though. I mean, listen, AEW is not perfect by any means, but they are kicking WWE's butt. I think they beat Raw's last week, 18-34.
Wow.
That's dangerous. I don't think, I mean, listen, I know there's this weird thing now when people go, oh, this sucks. People talk about ratings. We cover the business end of stuff, too. We cover the industry. This is a bad sign for the industry when you have a secondary product, right, in the eyes of TV and ads, beating your main in 18-34, which is a key demo. It's a little, it's not good. So it's not. I think WWE should be very concerned. Now, I'm not saying that AEW is going to beat them, but they should be concerned that they're their own demise. I'm not saying they're going away, but as far as
100%,
Fox cannot be super thrilled right now. USA cannot be super thrilled, and honestly, the COVID stuff might have been a blessing in disguise for them as far as the pressure from the networks, because they're giving first run live programming every single week, and it's something. It's something they're getting. So the networks are kind of backed off. They're not going to force them and be heavy on them. Maybe they need to be. I don't know. I think maybe they need to be a little strong. Yeah.
Got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So do you think WWE needs another Vince Russo type to really get some good creative on TV?
I don't. They need to connect with the audience, whether that's more adult-based content, that's more story-based content. The biggest problem is that they don't have a star. There is no star that these guys have right now. They have not done a good job at taking one guy, plucking him out, and saying, this guy's better than every single other person in this roster. I don't care if you like Andrade. This other guy is better than him. And we don't care. That's what we had with Austin. That's what we had with The Rock. That's what we had with Hunter.
John Cena. They don't want to do that. John Cena. They don't want to do that anymore. They want. No. I think they want even Steven. You want even Steven. Everybody's on the level playing field. They could easily do that with.
Everybody's marketable.
Right. They could honestly, the first guy that comes to mind is, and they've done it a little bit, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins could be that ultimate push. Roman is over and he's going to stay over, right? Because he looks the way he looks. He works the way he works. He's the exact like upper echelon WWE style guy, right?
Here's a question for you. Here's a question for you, because you hit the nail on the head here. Who was the last guy that got over naturally that the company was 100% behind?
John Cena.
Yes and no, right? Like, who's the last guy that resonated with casual fans, hardcore fans? Like, who's that guy that connected to everybody?
Eddie, John Cena, Dana Bryan.
I would go back even more, man. I honestly do not. They have not had a guy since Austin and Rock that everybody was on the same page. The hardcore fans were, the pro wrestling fan, the hardcore fans, the casual fans, the company, the advertisers, the network. These are all guys. Maybe CM Punk was a guy, but really he was not. He was never going to be that guy. Never in the eyes of the company. The last two were Austin and Rock. You're talking 20-something years ago. They got over 1999, 1998. That's bad. John Cena was kind of the in-between here, but Daniel Bryan was for us, but it wasn't for, the mainstream. You think people looked at Daniel Bryan and said, oh my God, that guy's so impressive. Look at his size, look at his stature, look at his No, he appealed to us as wrestling fans.
Would you throw Roman in there because of? I'm saying John Cena and Roman too a little bit, just because of the youth demographic, because that's how you build the future generation of fans, right? Kids like Hulk Hogan, perfect example. Kids loved Hulk, kids loved Macho, kids loved the Ultimate Warrior, and then they grew up and their kids, or when they got older, they loved the Austins and the Rocks and the Triple H's, and then when those kids got older, they had kids, and those kids are like John Cena, Roman Reigns. Those are our guys, right? Yeah. So it's like a weird kind of like mix of different things that kind of go into fandom for us, because we're like in our late 30s. I'd be more satisfied watching a guy like Eddie Kingston or John Moxley on TV than watching I don't know who's like a Bobby Lashley, or like a Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Who? Let me. The last person that resonated with everybody, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch resonated with everybody.
Okay, yeah.
Right, but they, unfortunately for Becky Lynch, the amount of opponents on that level to draw were gone, didn't exist. Becky Lynch got over because she got a bloody nose, and everybody wanted to see the Ronda Rousey stuff and the Charlotte stuff. But once you ran that program, you just used that program. Ronda left, unfortunately for them, and then they did that bizarro Seth stuff over the summer, and that kind of hurt it. So there you go. She didn't, unfortunately for her, she just didn't have the caliber of opponents. And I know you're going to say Asuka, and you're going to say this, but in reality, I'm saying a mega star. There's a difference between having a solid worker that's over and having a megastar as your opponent. And unfortunately, you only get over when you're facing guys that are better than you or on the same level. And she unfortunately didn't have that. And I think that's the problem with the women's roster. I mean, again, it's a lack of depth, but now they're getting a little better at it. Anyway, let's go into really quick last night's AEW. What did you think of it overall? Let's
I liked it.
The show.
I liked it. I really thought there were a lot of high points in it, very little low points for me. A couple of things that stuck out were the MJF promo, which I really liked, just especially kind of like that was a very tongue-in-cheek, almost like ECW style promo where he called out WWE but not saying WWE.
Yeah.
With the old guard and the Titans, and then he did the Hogan thing. I thought that was great. Do you think he's gonna take the belt off Mox next month?
At the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Again, they're in the same boat, right? Like, do you take the title off of Mox? What do you do?
Right. Do you need the crowd, right?
Do you kind of need the crowd for a title change like that if you're doing it on a pay-per-view? I think AEW, as far as the titles go, because there's so little titles, like they don't have 80,000 titles. I think what does WWE have? Let's see: Universal, World, Tag, Women's Tag,
Women's title,
IC, US, Women's title. All right, that's Cruiserweight. Right, they have 10 titles on them, and then you got all the NXT stuff, 10, and then you got NXT World, NXT Women's, NXT tag. So you got in North American. So you got 14 titles in this company.
Yeah. A lot.
AEW has tag, TV, and World, and Women's. And Four titles.
And do you count the FTW title?
Okay, fine. Yeah, FTW title. Sure. NXT UK. Yeah. Forgot about NXT UK and the NXT UK tag titles. NXT UK Women's. 17 titles. A
lot of titles. Yeah.
17 freaking titles.
At that point, it just becomes a prop, right? If you consolidated that back down,
but that's what ruined boxing.
Yeah.
People don't realize that really hurt boxing. I grew up on 80s and 90s boxing. That really hurt boxing because everybody had a title. Everybody was IBF champion, WBF champion, WBO champion. Then you had a linear champion, and then you had all the cruiserweight titles and this title and that. It was so many belts. You know, it just
about the 24/7.
24/7 title. There you go. I think 17 now. 16, 17,
Crazy,
whatever it is.
Crazy.
So AEW, on the other hand, I think they're doing a great job with that TV title. Cody's defending it to either established guys or new people. It was great to see Warhorse on there. This guy's gotten a lot of publicity via Twitter and social media since reinventing himself the last couple of years as this, I don't even know what he is, a metal rock ultimate warrior. He's playing a wrestler, essentially, right? He's a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
That's his gimmick. I thought it was fine. He didn't. One criticism. I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if it was whatever, but he really didn't blow me away in the match. Cody sold for this guy. Crazy.
Yeah.
But listen, the guy's young. He's 20-something years old. This guy's going to have a great career, and it's great that he got on TV. The other thing,
absolutely.
If you notice, Excalibur was off of commentary.
Mm-hmm.
There's something brewing here. There's a video. I can't remember if it's PWG. I don't want to disparage the company or what, but there's a video of Excalibur and Kevin Steen and a couple other guys from it is a PWG show from 15 years ago where Excalibur is calling. I cannot remember the wrestler's name. I just glanced at this before we went on because somebody sent it to me. He's calling him the N-word in a promo over and over again.
Yeah.
But it was a Human Tornado. He was calling Human Tornado, which is black, likes racial heat. And he's the one that came up with that promo, right? He's the one that said, no, this is, I want you to call me this. I want you to say this. And they did in a promo from 2003. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but that's starting to circulate now. I don't know if Kevin Owens is going to have any kind of repercussions from this or what. But, listen, 15 years ago, a lot of weird stuff happened in wrestling and in media, things that were not even, I don't find that word acceptable in any era, but
right.
The use of it was used more in that sense to get heat and racial stuff to do heat. And listen, I'm not justifying. I'm not saying it's right, but 2003, you know what I mean? It was agreed. It was a character. It was a shitty promo. It was a bad move.
Right.
I don't know if they're gonna punish him. I don't know if he's off TV for that. I don't know what Kevin Owens is gonna deal with now that this is surfaced. But PWG used to do a lot of that. They've done a lot of racial promos on racial humor on that thing. I watched a whole bunch of these videos from that era, and I was actually surprised to see so much of that used as insults. So I don't know if that's the reason and what's going to happen there. We'll see. It was just, I listened to it. I was like, oh boy. I actually went, yikes.
That's rough. That's rough stuff.
Yeah.
Well, also, you kind of say yikes now when you see the Nation of Domination stuff with DX, right?
Dude, you say yikes now. We're in a different climate. I get it. But also, it's a TV show, right? WWE is a TV show. There are, when you see someone use that word on The Wire, or you see somebody use that word on, that's an old show. I don't know why I went to The Wire, but any TV show, any movie, and they're portraying a villain, and they use that term to call, Sopranos, great example, right? Sopranos.
Okay.
That was a word that was thrown out all the time. Different era, or the fact that you're able to disconnect and say, wow, these are really bad men. They're conflicted. They're good guys and bad guys at the same time. They're very conflicted people. I'm accepting this when I see this as, okay, these are very troubled people. You're able to kind of
this is how that type of guy talks.
This is how that guy talks. They're all vile. Listen, Tony Soprano wasn't a babyface. This guy, they all suck. So
Matt Pranos, baby.
Matt Pranos. So you got to look at it as, okay, is it a reflection of the person? Is it a reflection of the character that we're playing? Longest Yard. Stone Cold used it many times, but for whatever reason, we're able to disconnect because it's on a big screen. It's on a movie. So
Django Unchained.
Django Unchained. How
Perfect
many
example.
times was that word used?
Oh my God.
It was astronomical.
Yeah.
There was criticism over the use, but it changes. So anyway, I don't know if that's why I feel bad for him, to be honest, that things like this surface. I don't want anybody to suffer for something from their youth like that when they're playing a character. They're not the actual person saying and doing it, but it's in a character, much like a TV show. So we'll see what happens.
Much like Terry Bollea has a regular sized penis.
And Hulk Hogan, gigantic
10-inch
penis for Hulk Hogan. Guys, we got a couple minutes here. We're getting ready for Rocky. I'm gonna message him. Sent an email with updated link. I just sent it to him, so we're gonna kind of get this going. Any Q&As? Let's do fast Q&A here. We got 3 minutes, 4 minutes, quick, very quick. Let's do a Q&A segment here, and we'll rapid fire stuff because I'm excited to get Rocky on. Are you happy that baseball is back, Rich?
I am. I'm happy that the Mets won their game on opening day. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, they're not doing. Listen, they're 3-3. They're playing 500 ball.
Yeah.
They're playing the Red Sox again. They probably could beat the Red Sox today. The Red Sox are not doing great.
Yeah.
They're 2-4. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how they're ranked. I don't know how everybody else is playing right now. I think everybody's playing like
I saw
crap.
that there's the enthusiasm probably isn't as there as it should be. I did read that the Marlins are being investigated for the COVID outbreak as to was there any extracurricular activities these guys are getting up to?
Yeah, they went to a strip club in Atlanta.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's what happened. They went to a strip club in Atlanta and they all got it.
Crazy.
So stupid. Let's see. What else do we have? Will WWE get canceled within the next year? Raw and SmackDown keep crashing. No, I mean, it has to plummet. Ratings have to be really, really bad for that to happen. I don't see that happening. Sorry.
I don't see that happening. They would have to be but that's the thing. Even if USA and Fox dropped Raw and SmackDown, who's to say that the TV Guide channel isn't going to pick one of them up, or the Home Gardening Network is going to be listen, we want wrestling.
My back's killing me. Sorry, guys. Let's see what else we got here. Will WWE get canceled? Andrew, any truth of the rumors you're renovating your backyard to accommodate a certain wrestling show in 2 weeks? It's very possible. Can you imagine? I just want you to picture that for 1 minute. Just picture it. Just imagine that happens here.
I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Let's do it. SummerSlam in Andrew's back.
Live
and the studio's Gorilla.
my studio's Gorilla.
Cherry Tree Lane.
God damn it. He starts yelling at my kids to get him stuff. Jonathan, Andrew, did you find a new spot to tan? No, I have not tanned in 3 days. I'm dying here. This is terrible.
These good 3 days that you didn't tan, man. It's been hot.
It's been really hot. Crown Wolf, what's next for Sasha and Bailey? God, they're on fire. Sasha and Bailey. They're on freaking fire right now. I love everything they're doing with them. They're actually, you want to talk about someone that I tune in for? I'm actually tuning in for Sasha and Bailey for Raw.
Sure.
And SmackDown. I mean, whatever they're on, they're phenomenal. They're really, really good. I think you're eventually going to see a split of the title. They're going to drop the title to somebody, and then there's going to be tension, and then one of them is going to lose the title and turn on the other one, and you're going to have a big program, which I'm very excited to see. If they could do what they did in NXT in WWE, which they've attempted and it didn't really work out too well, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? And then we're gonna wrap it up here because Rocky's getting ready to come on with us. So what we'll do? Cool. We'll end it, I guess. Now, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Sure. Listen, quick show, right? We did about 40-something minutes of the show.
57 minutes.
Show, 57 minutes. I said 45 minutes. Excellent. We're here. Stay tuned. We're going to be interviewing Rocky Romero. He's going to be joining us now right after this to talk about, everything else happening in pro wrestling. And we'll continue the conversation with him because this is going to be phenomenal. I just wanted to have a separate show out for you guys and do this. Obviously, maybe we'll do a Q&A. You guys want to do a Q&A with Rocky also? We'll talk about New Japan. We'll talk about, the podcast and everything else going on. Favorite non-in-ring competitor crowd pop. Mine is Linda McMahon. Yes, Linda McMahon breaking out of her comatose state at WrestleMania 17 got one of the biggest pops hysterically. Love that one. That's a great one, Bachelor 3000. All right, guys. Love all of you. We'll see you all next time. Take care.